Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the newest installment of Filthy Sports. I'm, of course, your host, John Campia. Good to have you here. I'm joined in studio by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico.
Good afternoon.
Ryan Myers.
What's up, everybody?
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thanks for joining us today on this little show where we talk about, can you imagine, all things sports. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to get things started. We're going to start off with this. Do you hear it? It's ringing. It's like sad violin music. We must be talking about the Cleveland Browns. So the Cleveland Browns got beat again this weekend, rather handily. But there is a silver lining. Something good may have come out of it from a fan's perspective and from a team perspective. One never wants somebody to get injured and hurt. Of course not. But Deshaun Watson, according to reports, has gone out with what they're calling an Achilles tear, and he will miss the remainder of the 2024 season. Now, once again, let me reemphasize, no one ever hopes somebody gets injured or hurt. Of course not. That being said, it was clear that despite the fact that Deshaun Watson may indeed be the worst player in the NFL, and easily, by far, the object of the worst contract ever given in the history of professional sports. Remember, a nearly $250 million, all guaranteed money, and 3 first-round picks, basically completely hog-tying their future. And they got rid of a guy who is 3 times better of a quarterback than Deshaun Watson is when they ran their guy out of town. For this, he went down with an Achilles. Now, look, it became very, very clear because of the contract they gave Deshaun Watson, they were never going to pull him. They were never going to bench him. Because you're paying him $250 million. You can't afford to sit his ass on the bench, right? The only thing that was going to take him out is if he got injured. And again, all well wishes to Deshaun Watson. Torn Achilles. I've never suffered one. Does not sound like fun. I don't wish that on him at all. But this may, in the long run, actually be better for the Cleveland Browns season, because now Jameis Winston is going to come in and probably take the majority of snaps under center. And by the way, Jameis Winston, he only played a little bit in that game, but he had a QBR of like 74 in the game, threw for a touchdown, 70-something, 67 yards. Yeah. He threw 4. Now, here's how it creates a really interesting dilemma, though, for Cleveland. Let's say theoretically, obviously Cleveland is not going to win out. Cleveland is not going to make the playoffs. But let's say, for argument's sake, that the Cleveland Browns now play substantially better and even get some wins under Jameis Winston, the way last year the Cleveland Browns were substantively better under old man Joe Flacco when he came in and started lighting it up like it was 2011 and took them to a bunch of wins and led them big down the stretch. They were a decidedly better team when Deshaun Watson wasn't playing and Joe Flacco was. Ryan, if that happens again this year, if Watson goes out again and the backup comes in this case, Jameis Winston, and they win a bunch of games, they play a whole hell of a lot better, all that kind of stuff, I don't think that Cleveland and its ownership have any choice anymore. I don't think there is the option to then say at the beginning of next season, Watson is our starting quarterback again. I don't think they have that. If you go 2 years in a row, not just with Deshaun Watson stinking the joint out, which he has, but then having the backup come in both years, and then both years the team doing much better without Watson than with him. Ryan, I don't think even the Cleveland Browns are going to be able to go into the next season and look at their fans and look at their locker room and say, oh yeah, Watson gives us the best chance of winning. I don't think it's going to fly anymore. I think at that point, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you just got to smile and eat it. You just got to go, Yeah, we spent $230 million. What are we going to do now? Oh, well, it's for the sake of our team and for the sake of our future. We're going to have to bench him. And listen, you're not in a bad spot if Deshaun Watson's your backup quarterback, but I'm just saying, I don't think they can get out of this. Let's say theoretically the team does start playing better. I'm not saying they have to win every game or even win the majority game. Let's say they're just more competitive, that Jameis Winston plays better, all that kind of stuff. Where does that leave the Browns, do you think?
I feel bad for Browns fans.
Oh, you could say that any year for the last 30 years.
They already had to deal with enough, and now they have to deal with him on their team. And I know a big point of contention yesterday was the fans cheering the injury.
Which was classless.
Yeah. Nobody. I mean, I can understand why you might cheer, but you shouldn't. It's definitely one of those things that's classless. A lot of the players on the Browns came out and said, nobody should be doing that.
No. I mean, just for the record, I mean, if you're a Browns fan, I get it. Deshaun Watson represents not just a bad deal. He represents the ruination of your franchise and the paralysis of your franchise, not just right now, but for the foreseeable future, because your team can't get any better because all of their salary cap is tied up in you. Oh, and they gave up all their draft picks for you. Oh, and you're playing like crap. I understand Cleveland Browns fans saying, what's the Jack Nicholson's line in Batman?
Town needs an enema.
Oh. No, I'm glad that you're dead. I can totally see why the Cleveland Browns would feel that way. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. But when the guy is literally being carted off the field, that's not the time to express it.
I think a lot of the, I don't want to say a lot, but I think some of the bullying also is the off the field stuff. Like he has a for sure.
So
it's like, he's not playing well, all that stuff. They're paying him all that money. So I think that's part of it. Winston did play yesterday. He came in. I think Winston is the third quarterback. I think the Dorian Thompson Robinson guy that came in first is their second quarterback. He got hurt though. Something wrong with his finger. So we'll have to see what's up with his hand. But either way, I think they think he's more of a younger quarterback so they can try, or Winston is, I think Winston's good. He's a good backup. I think he put up huge numbers in Tampa. He was good on the Saints when he played. So I think there's a chance he could put up those numbers. But I think what this does is it takes away a distraction because like you said, Watson is bad. You can't bench him. So you have to basically take these questions every week, and everyone that's on the team has to have this floating over their head. So now he's gone. You're still paying him, but now he's not around. So you can start Thompson Robinson, or Winston. You can see what you have. Nick Chubb just came back from injury.
Yeah, that's the nice story, by the way, Chubb coming back.
So I think now it's in the background now, but you don't have to think about it. You have until all next season, because he's not going to obviously come back this season. He'll probably be back and available next year. But I think at that point, like you said, just put him on the bench and go with somebody else at this point. I don't know how he could ever redeem himself. I mean, sure, he can come in and throw 75 touchdowns, but that's not going to happen. But I think at this point, you have to pay him. He's just going to go on the bench, and you just see what you have with the two quarterbacks you have and move forward. And hopefully these next couple of years go by fast, and then you can get rid of him after that.
So my contention here is, let's say the Browns, play speculation here. Let's say the Browns go 5-5. Let's say even 4-6 over their remaining 10 games. I think they have 10 games. Have they already had their bye week? I can't remember. Anyway, let's say they go 5-5, 4-6 even. I think that is good enough that it says to the Browns, you cannot win with this other guy. You've got a better chance of winning. You will be a more competitive team. You will be putting a better product on the field for your fans if you go with another option, a quarterback. Do you think if they do, like, obviously they go over without Watson, then maybe you go back to Watson when he comes back. But I think they go even 4-6. I think that leaves them with their hands tied. They can't go back to Watson after that, can they?
No, I wouldn't go back to him. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it. He's not good enough anymore, or maybe he never was, to make this much money with this much distraction. And like we talked about on another show, he still has lawsuits and stuff being settled and pending, and also I think this is a get off the highway with Deshaun Watson and go in another direction. I think this is where you make that decision.
I mean, take Baker Mayfield out of the equation, who broke their curse, got them to the playoffs, played good football for them, all that kind of stuff. I mean, man,
yeah.
When has the Browns had a solid franchise quarterback. I mean, they thought they had it in Johnny Manziel. I mean, that didn't work out. Dude didn't even work out in the CFL after that.
Didn't they have Brady Quinn too?
They had Brady Quinn.
They had all those promos with him in the Gatorade commercial running. Like it was supposed to be like the sexiest quarterback to ever come into the league.
No.
And then he didn't do anything, I don't think.
No, but that's been all the Cleveland quarterbacks, right?
Yeah. And then there was like the Braylon Edwards, and I forgot the quarterback
Braylon
at the time.
Edwards.
Yeah.
Like that year, the early 2010s. Yeah.
I mean, you got to go all the way back to like frickin' Bernie Kosar.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure this makes Ray happy though, being a Bengals fan.
No. I don't get into that. As a Bengals fan, I just want the team to beat anybody. I don't care about the division stuff. It doesn't matter. You know what? It sucks that they lost a quarterback. Hopefully they get someone to step up.
Yeah, I think Winston will actually. I honestly think they can do a 4-6. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Deshaun Watson is now out for the rest of the season. It's a matter of addition by subtraction, I think, if you're the Cleveland Browns. I think the team literally gets better with him out of the lineup. Anyway, how do you see this playing out? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, you know, if you're watching Filthy Sports, we're going to have some heavy WNBA talk here.
Woo-hoo.
Well, honestly, if Caitlin Clark was still playing, we probably would, but I had to talk about this. I don't know if you guys saw this last night, but the WNBA, they've now finished their finals. The New York Liberty are the WNBA champions. First time in the franchise's history. They've won, and they beat out the Minnesota Lynx, who have won, I think, 4 or 5 titles, something like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, a lot of titles. But the WNBA is a league, I should say, that is constantly doing stupid things, constantly mishandling situations, and constantly, even when good things start to happen, find ways to undermine the good things that are happening. And the final game of the WNBA Finals was just another example of that. As the referees made an absolute mockery of the sport, when with 5.2 seconds left in the game, the Linx are up by 2 points. They're about to win the title when Liberty's Brianna Stewart is in the key, goes for a shot. Linx defender Alana Smith does exactly what they train you to do. Feet planted, arms straight up. And Stewart comes in, initiates incidental contact at best, goes up, her arms are not touched, nothing gets touched, and they called a foul on Alana Smith that was clearly not a foul. Clearly not a foul. They even reviewed it. This is where I start to smell something funny. When they review it and the world sees that's not a foul, and they upheld the call, gave the Liberty 2 shots. She makes them. The game goes to overtime now when the Lynx should have won, and then the Liberty pull it out in overtime. Now, you can fairly say, well, the Lynx should have been up by more than 2 then before the last 5 seconds. Fair enough. Pardon me. You can say, well, the Lynx then should have won in overtime. They should have outplayed them in overtime and won in overtime. And you'd be right to say so. But none of that changes the fact that with 5 seconds left in the game, the Lynx won. The Lynx won. Stewart missed her shot. She was not fouled. And the coach of the team, Cheryl Reeve, she did a post-game, honestly, I think legendary. Because she said right in the post-game, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but the basic gist of it was, hey, I know all the media is going to be saying I'm making excuses. That's fine. Bring it on. They stole that shit from us. She straight up said, they stole this championship from us. If you're the WNBA this is a very bad look for your whole league. A league that Caitlin Clark is finally starting to bring some legitimacy to your league and making bigger stars out of everybody in it. Somebody in the head office or something had to make a call and say, that's not a foul. Like, look, and I said to Ryan, I said to you, like before we started the show, I said, look, it's one thing if it's the second quarter of game 1 in the opening round, you want to make a ticky-tack call like that. It's whatever. This was 5 seconds remaining with the championship on the line. And you know what? Refs are like anybody else. They make mistakes, right? A guard can miss a shot, doesn't see the play right. Okay, fine. That's why you have review. And you can fix the mistakes. For that, Ryan, to have gone to review and they uphold the call with 5 seconds left with the championship on the line, I'm sorry. Yes, they still could have won it in overtime. Yes, they could have had a bigger lead. All that is true, but it was what it was. They had the lead when time was expiring. They should have won. They literally, look, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Liberty. I'm not. Congratulations to them for winning a championship, I guess. But you didn't win. There should be an asterisk next to their name. They got beat, and the refs handed them the title. And I don't even have any invested interest in this. I don't care about the Linx. I don't care about the Liberty. I don't care. I just know that as somebody who's just starting to get interested in the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark, I looked at that and thought, why should I watch this league? Like, seriously, I'm an outsider. I'm a normie. I'm one of those many people today who are just starting to get interested in the WNBA. And what they just did made me go, oh, why would I even watch it? Ray, it's like professional boxing. Remember when Manny Pacquiao was fighting that Irish dude a while ago, who then called out Mayweather afterwards?
Right. I think it was it Jeff Horn? Are we talking
it
about?
It might have been like
Australian guy, right?
Yeah, that Manny was beating his ass so bad that the ref even had to go to the guy's corner in between rounds and say, look, you better start doing something. I'm going to stop this fight because you're getting your ass handed to. And like, I saw that, and then they gave the decision, or the first Canelo Triple G fight.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, if this is how you're going to call boxing, why would I watch boxing? That's how I felt when I saw this. I'm like, WNBA, why would I watch your league? You're an amateur league. You're not what you would. If this was a person, you'd say that is not a serious person. This is not a serious league.
The replay is the thing that bugs. That they got to see it over. There's some sports where they don't even have that luxury, and they do admit they were wrong afterwards, which makes sense. But when you could see something, at least explain to the coach. The referee didn't even go up to the coach, did she, and try to explain why that she called it? Like, if there's at least that, because the coach obviously wasn't given an explanation if she's like going
well,
off.
Whatever the explanation, it would have been a bad one because the replay made it clear.
Right. So, I mean, at least the refs should have told their coach why they called that call. At least explain it.
Because she fouled her. But no, she didn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just that simple.
I mean, and it happens in the NBA too. There's replays where it's like not a foul, and then they'll still call it a foul. Everyone jokes like.
But does it happen with 5 seconds left in the game 7 of the NBA
Finals?
No,
also like the way that most of the time at the end of a game, they solo their whistle. They let them play through it.
Yeah.
In this case, they didn't. But like you said, they went to the review. In fact, the review showed she traveled before she even got into the key. So they could have called that too, which is another thing with replays in the NBA is they can only enforce certain things, even if the replay shows something different. Like, well, it's out of bounds off of him, but it's only because the guy hacked the crap out of him that he dropped it. It really should have been a foul, but they can't change it. If you're going to have review, you should just have the right call. Otherwise, why are we doing it? Also, the fact that it takes 5 minutes to review something that anyone with eyes can see in 20 seconds, and then they have to call to New York to get that call back to them. Which, like you're saying, something smells like what came back on the call. Like, did they actually say it was a foul, not a foul? It was not a foul. She went into her chest. She went straight up. There was no contact. She actually missed 2 free throws before that call earlier. So it could have been tied, and they actually could have won in overtime. It should have made her free throws. In fact, the foul calls, Liberty got 25 foul calls. Or free throws,
almost double.
Yeah,
more than double.
I
think Linx only got 8 calls.
Yeah, so 25 to 8. So you have that discrepancy. And then I know in I didn't watch the whole game. I was watching the Dodger game. But in the last quarter, like Sabrina was 1 for 7 from 3. Breanna Stewart was low shooting percentage. So basically they're only in the game because of the foul calls. So, and I know there goes, are they jump shooting team? Are they a paint team? So there's that. But to have the game 5, last game of this, come down to this call is horrible. It gives a bad impression. And now they're going on a work stoppage. They just canceled their CBA.
Ooh.
So after probably the biggest season ever ending in this way, now they're going to go into a work stoppage. So it's bad all around.
Again, listen, and I'm just saying, if somebody like me, the very definition of a casual, the very definition of a normie, the very definition of somebody who's just starting to get interested in your league, you have just taken away 50% of my interest. And if I'm feeling that, I'm not saying everybody else is feeling it, but there are others who are like, you are not a serious league. You are not a league to be taken seriously. This was a joke. And the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, MLB, like, again, refs make mistakes.
Yeah.
But once it goes to replay, anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about this whole fiasco? I think it's an incredible embarrassment on the league. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. I'm laughing because King Daddy Goat in the live chat said the NSL, not serious league. I like that. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? In one of the best games of the year, and a game that was totally circled on my calendar going into the weekend, the undefeated and surprisingly good Minnesota Vikings were taking on Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. And what I knew was going to be a fabulous game. And in a game that once again, Goff balled the hell out of the place. The Minnesota Vikings, after an atrocious start, you see that? The very first possession, they tried a fake punt on their own, like 25 or something like that. So Minnesota said, thank you, yoink, and scored right off the bat. Anyway, right after that, Minnesota back on track. And Jared Goff, I'm going to say this now. Jared Goff is currently the best quarterback in the NFL. And some of you have been saying, John, you mean except for Patrick Mahomes? No, I am including Patrick Mahomes. Right now, Jared Goff is the best quarterback in the NFL, and the numbers prove it. The numbers back it up. In just the last 3 games, Jared Goff is completing, get this, you're not mishearing this, 83% of his passes. 83% of his passes. He's thrown for 7 touchdowns with no interceptions. He's got a QBR north of 80. He's throwing for an average of almost 300 yards per game. And he is just completing everything. His last 3 games, he went 18 for 18 for 292 yards, 18 for 25 for 315 yards, and 22 of 25 for 280 yards. Completion ratios of 88%, 72%, and 100%. Patrick Mahomes, who is the man. I mean, don't get me wrong. Patrick Mahomes is the man. He is. But Patrick Mahomes has thrown for more interceptions this year than he's thrown touchdowns. His completion percentage is below 68%. He's completing less than 68% of his passes. He's thrown for 1 game, he balled out with 331 yards. But besides that game against New Orleans, he's thrown for 151 yards, 217, 154, and then another pretty good game against the Chargers for 245. He has thrown 8 interceptions to 6 touchdowns. Listen, guys, you can think whatever you want about Patrick Mahomes, and he's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm a GM, putting on my team all day, every day. Thank you very much. But the Kansas City Chiefs are not winning this year because of Patrick Mahomes. He is not having a Patrick Mahomes-like season. I'm not saying he can't turn it around and instantly have a Patrick Mahomes rest of the season, but listen, just call it what it is. He's a 61 QBR. He's completing a low percentage of his passes. He's not lighting it up in yards, and he has literally thrown more interceptions than touchdowns.
He makes good commercials.
He makes wonderful commercials, right? And listen, I have no doubt he could still turn around, have an MVP rest of the season. I'm not saying he can't. Don't say I'm bashing on Patrick Mahomes. I'm not. I'm just quoting you the numbers, guys. I'm just quoting you the numbers. Jared Goff, on the other hand, is balling the hell out. And after Hutchinson went down and everybody's saying, well, that's it for the Lions' deep playoff run hopes, what do? They come out and they beat the second undefeated team in the league. On the road, Goff is protecting the ball. He's throwing fewer passes. This is the key, Ryan. He's throwing fewer passes and getting more yards and more touchdowns. More yards with fewer passes and completing 83% of his passes. That is called working smarter, not harder. And by the way, his passes are ridiculously accurate. I mean, obviously, if his completion percentage is that high, but I mean, when he's thrown these balls, they are right on the numbers where they need to be all the time. Now, I'm not saying he's going to play the whole season like this.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, you can have whatever opinion you want. The numbers to me say Jared Goff right now is the NFL MVP. I mean, at least easily the best quarterback in the league right now. Well, John, if it's the Super Bowl in the fourth quarter, which quarterback do you want? Well, I want Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Well, I want Tom Brady. But I mean, I want Patrick Mahomes. Look, I'm not saying otherwise. I'm just saying, guys, the numbers, I'm not making this up. Patrick Mahomes is not having a Patrick Mahomes kind of year. He's thrown more picks than he has touchdowns. He's throwing lower yards per game. He's less accurate than he has been. It is what it is. Jared Goff, on the other hand, is having an MVP kind of season. And whether or not he can continue that, I don't know. But man, I'm telling you, other than that, who'd they lose to get? The Buccaneers, they lost in game one?
Yeah. Or second game.
Second game?
Yeah.
And that loss is looking less and less bad as the Bucs show that they're actually a pretty heavy hitting team. But I mean, since then they have rolled, man. They look great. Anyway, what have you been thinking about Jared Goff's performance so far? And, you know, I'm saying, listen, I think if the season ended today, I think Jared Goff is the most valuable quarterback in the league today. But I don't know. How do you see all that?
No, he's definitely great. I mean, he used to be on the Rams. He wasn't this good on the Rams. That's why we traded him.
He was. You know, that's a trade that worked out for both teams because Stanford got a Super Bowl and Goff has just reignited his career.
He's putting up great stats, deep ball, all that stuff. Although I think you forgot about a quarterback, Josh Allen, on the Bills.
Okay, look. I never forget about Josh Allen.
Okay.
But Josh, who I love, has had a couple of questionable performances this year, right?
Well,
he looked pretty rough against Baltimore. He looked pretty rough the other week. I mean, when he's on, he's the most dynamic, athletic quarterback, but I don't know if he's in that MVP conversation.
I would disagree. I think he is.
Okay.
1,482 yards.
Yep.
12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And ran for 3 touchdowns, and it's the highest QBR of his career this year.
He's also dating Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, he wins because he dates Haley Steinfeld.
That's my Haley Steinfeld is like my wife's ultimate celebrity crush right now, and so she loves Josh Allen because of that.
Celebrity thing there.
Yeah, they lost. The Bills lost to the Ravens and the Texans, so they have 2 losses. I would say Allen has less weapons than Jared Goff does.
Although he's got a new
Cooper
toy
now. He's got Cooper now.
And he did throw a touchdown to him this weekend.
So if I had to pick between 2, it would be those 2.
Jared Goff and Josh Allen.
Yeah. For the season as it is right now, those 2. Couple other quarterbacks like CJ Stroud and Baker Mayfield too. They've both been playing really good this year. But top would be probably Goff and Allen for me.
Yeah. And then of course, I mean, how can we not talk about Lamar Jackson?
Oh no, yeah.
What he's doing again this year, 2-time MVP, could be in the hunt for a third as well. But I mean, I'm telling you what, even without Hutchinson, when everybody was saying if Detroit's going to save their season, they got to trade for a Max Crosby, or they got to trade for a why am I forgetting his name? Myles Garrett off the Browns. Yeah. They got to trade for Myles Garrett, and maybe they do make a move like that. Yeah. I think they showed that, you know what, even if they don't make a move, even if they don't get out, and now granted, they weren't getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback this weekend.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's something to be said there, but for without Hutchinson to still go into Minnesota, who are undefeated, and beat them the way they beat them, I think that's pretty impressive. And a lot of that has to do with Jared Goff.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? I mean, I'm just saying what the numbers are saying. I mean, right now, Jared Goff is a more valuable quarterback to his team than Patrick Mahomes is to the Kansas City Chiefs, who are winning because of defense and a great offensive line. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this, shall we? In one of the other really interesting games this weekend, the New York Jets played the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we'll talk more about the Jets a little bit later. But for now, we're going to focus on the Steelers because there was some drama. Going into the game, Coach said that Russell Wilson was going to be the starter. I mean, it kind of became clear that Russell Wilson was going to be the starter. This despite the fact that under Justin Fields, the Steelers were off to a 4-2 start. They look good. They'd been winning games. Now, I had said in a previous episode that while I think Justin Fields has been playing perfectly fine, he's been protecting the ball. I think he's only had one interception in the season. But when you look at his stats, it's not like the Steelers have been winning because of him. And prior to the season starting, they said they named Russell Wilson the starting quarterback. He got injured, so Justin Fields stepped in and did a good job. But I said, and a lot of people got mad at me, that no, going back to Russell Wilson is the smart move. And if it doesn't work, then you go back to Justin Fields. But I said, he's your number one quarterback. He's back and healthy now. You at least have to see what you've got with him. And a lot of people thought that was a bad move. A lot of people said that was a mistake. Well, what happened? Pittsburgh goes in there and beats up the New York Jets 37-15. With Russell Wilson at quarterback, the Steelers scored more points this game than they have all year, and maybe all of last year too. I'm not 100% about that. But they've scored more points with 37 than they have normally. He threw for 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for a 3rd touchdown. I mean, he looked good. Now, listen, this all despite the fact that in the first quarter and a half, Ryan and I and Ann were watching the game, and it's like, where is he throwing that ball?
A lot of dirt throws.
He was throwing some horrible ball. The guy hadn't played a game in almost a year.
His last game was Christmas Eve 2023.
That was his last game.
Last game. Regular season game.
So he had some rust, right? But even I'm looking at the TV, I'm like, they're going to have to pull this guy. They left him in. He settled down, and once he did, his receivers bailed him out a couple of times with some ridiculously good catches. Including that one, remember, right along the sideline, one arm tucked it in. Yep. But even then, the balls he started throwing up were getting more and more accurate. His mobility started looking better and better. And the result was he put up a bunch of yards, pretty clean game after the first quarter and a half. And the team scored more points than they have in a long, long time. And I think Russell Wilson definitively made the statement that he's your starting quarterback. You are the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now, granted, this is a very small sample size. The Steelers are a better team when he is at quarterback. And that's taking nothing away from Justin Fields. He's still got a lot of upside. He's still young. Listen, young guys have a hard time protecting the football. He protects the football. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers right now are in a really good spot because they're working well with Russell Wilson, at least after one game. And if something goes wrong there, you know you've got a reliable backup with Justin Fields. But Ryan, I'm saying that I think, the Steelers are clearly a better team with Russell Wilson at quarterback. I think they should, at least offensively, they were a lot more explosive last night. How do you see it?
Yeah, they're not as one-dimensional. Like Justin Fields did a good job, and he even said coming into this week, he said part of the reason that the coach is thinking about it is because I played good, I didn't play great. So there's room for improvement. So they put this in, and with Russell Wilson, they're not as, like I said, one-dimensional. Justin Fields ran for a lot of touchdowns. He threw 5 and ran for 5.
He can use his legs, man.
But his progression is usually first read, run.
Yeah.
So Russell Wilson, he could still move. He's not obviously not as mobile as he used to be. He's 34, 33. But he can throw on the run. And I think that's what happened after halftime. He started throwing on the run. Chris Collinsworth was saying sometime in the third quarter, he came up to the line and changed the play and quieted everybody down. He said that Russell Wilson has full control over the line.
Yeah, that was the moment that he felt like he was back.
Yeah, he changed the call, audible out of it, whatever, and they got yardage out of it. Najee Harris had a big game, 20 carries, 100 yards. So they're running the ball, they're passing the ball. He didn't turn it over. Their defense played really well. They picked off Rodgers twice. So I think now they have a full complement of offensive and defensive plays. They're not relying on the defense to get turnovers to get points. The offense can score the points now. So like you said, one game though. They have a game against the Giants next, then a bye week, and then they play the Commanders and Baltimore.
That's going to be a tall order.
After the bye week will be a big test. I think they could beat the Giants, obviously. But yeah, Commanders and Baltimore.
I'm pretty sure you and I could beat the Giants.
Well, they're not great. So only one game, but it's a good start, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and again, the wheels could come off next game, right? But right now, it looks like the Steelers are a better team with Russell Wilson at quarterback. Guys, question is for you. What did you think about that game? Did you like what you saw? I mean, obviously, the first quarter and a bit was ugly, but he clearly got it turned around, put up big points. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's talk about this. So last night, me, Ann, and Ryan are in a restaurant. We're watching the football game, but we're watching more than the football game. One TV, we're watching the football game. Other TV, we're watching the Dodgers versus the Mets. And, the Mets, first of all, if you're a Mets fan, what a season. The team starts 0-5. I think like midway through the season, Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were like 10 games under 500.
Yeah, they had fallen way back.
They beat the Brewers that nobody thought they would. Then they beat the Phillies that nobody gave them a chance.
Yeah. At least not 3-1. That one shocked me.
And then they came in and they put up a legit fight against the LA Dodgers. But man, they could not shut down the Dodgers bats. And that is quite frankly the story of the NLCS. The Dodgers again went off. What'd they get? 10 runs again?
Yeah.
Last night? This team has just exploded offensively. It's the realization of the potential they knew the Dodgers had. And everything from base stealing, pitcher management. Oh my God. They did things this series I've never seen a team do.
It was a clinic.
Yes, it was.
Oftentimes they'll say like, oh, well, like Flaherty's pitching was a clinic, but this was a clinic just in managing your team and understanding when they were best to pop off your relief pitchers. It was great.
It really was. It was a chess match.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. A chess match where you knew you had the best pieces. And the guys delivered. Every single time. And everybody delivered in one way or another, up and down. What was it? Like, Muncy went 12 or 13 straight on bases?
His on base is insane. His on base right now is like, if these were like high school players, you'd have like normal high school players, and he's like a state champion. Like, he's just putting them to shame, just swatting them. And
it's now set up with what I am calling Major League Baseball's wet dream. A World Series with the New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers. This is something they could have only dreamed about. This is going to be a ratings bonanza. First of all, this playoff run has already been a ratings bonanza because they had in the playoffs 2 teams from New York, the Philadelphia Phillies, the LA Dodgers. You had big important marquee teams, so the ratings were up. And now we're heading into this World Series. And listen, Jonathan, you know the game better than I do. So tell me what you think when I say this. From watching the playoffs and everything, what I just saw the Dodgers bats do to the Mets, I don't see any reason to believe that the Yankees are going to be able to stop that. And I'm going to say Dodgers in 5.
You're not alone. A lot of people I'm seeing are saying Dodgers in 5. I think it's going to be. I'll be more conservative, and I'm going to say Dodgers in 6. One reason is I'd love to see them win it at home, but I do think like I don't want to get ahead of myself, or they shouldn't get ahead of themselves. And this is a team, the Yankees, who have pulled off some crazy wins with just some weird walk-offs and you name it. So anything can happen. It's baseball, but I'm saying Dodgers in 6. This is a quick breakdown, just how I see the two teams. In terms of starting pitcher, Yankees have that. Okay. In terms of bullpen, Dodgers have
Dodgers
that.
by a mile.
Yeah. In terms of we'll say the top of the lineup, okay, I'd say it's a tie. All right. And then I'd say in terms of middle of the order, Dodgers. Bottom of the order, Dodgers. As long as they keep Yankees off base at the bottom of the order and Judge or someone just hits a solo home run, fine. I mean, this is like an Ohtani effect, essentially, right? Whereas you've got a strong... Okay, this guy right here. Who the hell is Tommy Edman? This guy... I mean,
He's the NLCS MVP, Jonathan.
I know who he is, but just a little fun fact. This guy did not play a regular season game this year. He only played in the playoffs this year, and he's the MVP on a team with Shohei Ohtani.
And Betts.
Yeah.
And Betts. This guy is our cleanup man. He's going to do damage to the Yankees. That's all I got to say about that.
It's going to be fun, and a lot of people are going to again, this is... And if the NBA could write its dream finals, it's the Celtics and the Lakers.
Yep.
If the NFL could write its dream, and name your team. But I mean, this is the wet dream for them, for the ratings, for all that kind of stuff. This is going to be huge. Guys, question is for you. What do you think? Who do you got? Yankees or Dodgers? I think Ann and I might go to game 1.
Wow.
I think we might go to game 1 just to say I've been to a World Series game. I never even went to a World Series game when the Jays were in it, so... maybe I'll do it. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? As we mentioned a little bit earlier, the New York Jets got embarrassed again the other night, this time by the Pittsburgh Steelers. A good but not great team that beat them up 37-15. Now, of course, you know how things go with the New York Jets right now. You prep for the game, you then lose the game, and then Aaron Rodgers gets up to the podium and makes all kinds of excuses. So what do? Well, they got rid of the coach. Okay, they got rid of the coach. Fine, they lost. Oh, we bring in Davante Adams. Okay, you bring in Davante Adams, a guy that I said on this show when they made the trade. Hey, it's a good trade. They basically gave up very little to get him, a 3rd-round pick, I think it was.
Yeah.
They gave up a 3rd-round pick to get Davante Adams. He's not the same Davante Adams that he was a couple of years ago, but he's going to make them a little bit better. But I said he is not going to make them he's not going to make them significantly better. And everybody said I was crazy. They go in last night again. Then, Aaron Rodgers will say when he underthrows a ball by about 10 yards, he blames the receiver for running the wrong route. He did not run the wrong route. Anyway, that's fine. And they lost again. And here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets are now running out of excuses. The owner said, this is the most talented team I've ever had here. The coach is the problem. Really? The coach is the problem?
And they always answer their phones.
I'm not saying Saleh was a great NFL coach. I've been very clear about that. But, you primarily got him because he was revered in the NFL for being a defensive-minded guy, great defensive coordinator, great defensive-minded head coach, and the defense of your team was the number 2 ranked defense in the league. And the problem was on offense. Well, what did they have on offense? An offensive coordinator that he didn't want, and a quarterback that I'm sure he wanted, but that you went out to get as the owner. So he wanted to make some changes on the offense. Nah, we'll just fire the coach. And then they did the changes the coach wanted. But I want to point this out. Remember I said when they fired Robert Saleh, besides the fact I said, I'm not saying he's a great NFL coach, but I said, this is one of the great defensive minds in the game today. And he has that defense humming. What has happened to the New York Jets since Aaron Rodgers got his wish and they got rid of Robert Saleh? Take a look at this with a shout out to the folks over at Get Up. Because again, this is another one of those graphics that I like so much. I just took my phone and took a picture of it on my TV screen. In weeks 1 through 5 under Robert Saleh, the New York Jets were giving up 17 points a game. In the 2 games they've played since firing Robert Saleh, the New York Jets are now giving up 30 points a game. In weeks 1 through 5 under Robert Saleh, the New York Jets defense was giving up only 256 yards per game. Since they fired Robert Saleh, the New York Jets defense is now giving up 384 yards per game to the opposing team's offense. Hey, Woody Johnson, look at me again and tell me how the coach was the problem. You were losing because the coach was the problem, right? Because the last I checked, you fired the coach, then you did what he wanted to do, getting rid of the offense coordinator. You brought in Davante Adams, and you're worse. They are a worse team today than they were 3 weeks ago. But because at least 3 weeks ago, they had an absolute elite level defense that was crushing it. Now you don't even have that. You don't even have that. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers has now stretched his record. He's now gone 29 games in a row without throwing for 300 yards. That is the longest streak in the NFL currently. No other quarterback that's played that many games has gone that many games. And by the way, you know how we were talking about Jared Goff? Saying this dude's throwing for 300 yards, throwing 18 passes, 21 passes, and 22 passes. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to get 300 yards per game, despite this season throwing for 35 passes, 42 passes, 35 passes, 39 passes, and 54 passes. And he's still throwing picks at terrible times. Now listen, Aaron Rodgers threw for 2 interceptions this weekend. One of them, clearly not his fault. That one near the end of the first half, he put it right on the receiver's chest. That one's not on Aaron. It goes against the stat sheet, yes, but that one is not on Aaron. Oh, but the other one where he threw into quadruple coverage, by the way, a second and a half late, that was an ugly pick. That was a mental error, physical error, all that kind of stuff right across the board. And I heard some New York Jets defenders coming out and saying, well, that interception at the end of the first half, the one that was not Aaron Rodgers' fault, that changed the whole game. I'm sorry. The final score was 37-15. That one interception did not cost them 22 points.
Yeah.
Interception. Result of the play, 22 points. No. I'm sorry. That was an unfortunate thing. It's certainly momentum of the game, but that was not the make or break difference. I continued last night to see Aaron Rodgers several times throwing to open patches of grass, throwing behind his receivers again. He cannot move like he used to. That's fine. Everybody gets older and can't necessarily move the way he used to. I get that. And then he gets up at the podium. And one of the reporters asked him, what do you guys need to do? Well, now he can't blame, was it Williams?
Yeah, Mike Williams.
He can't blame Mike Williams this time. So he blamed the media. Say, what do you guys got to do?
John. It's your fault.
What do you guys got to do, Aaron? And the first thing Aaron says is, first thing we got to do is stop listening to you guys. You, what? What the? Did the media tell you to throw the ball to that big green patch of grass? Did the media tell you to throw into quadruple coverage 2 seconds late? Did the media tell you to do all that? Like, first thing we got to do is stop listening to you. What's the media telling you? I don't know. First, it was Robert Saleh's fault. He's gone. You've gotten worse. Then, fix this. Let's get my buddy, Davante Adams, which, by the way, I still say it was a good move. It's good to pick him up. It makes your team a little bit better. But your team is still worse. I think he had 3 receptions for 30 yards. Give Aaron and him a little time to gel. Ryan, this team's a mess. An absolute mess. And here's the strange thing. They're 2-5. They can still finish 10-7. Because take a look at this. They have the easiest schedule remaining in the entire NFL. Don't believe me? Look at this. So they're 2-5 right now. Their next game is against the New England Patriots. That's a win. I don't care how yelling at the clouds Aaron Rodgers is. They're going to beat the New England Patriots.
As long as they don't listen to the media.
As long as they stop listening to the media. And by the way, but hey, that new kid, May.
I wouldn't. I might put money on the Patriots.
Do you see
depending
how
on the
badly
points,
they just lost to Jacksonville?
Well, it's in
To
New England.
Jacksonville.
It's in New England. Depending on the point spread, I might
Prize
put
Picks
money.
is calling, baby.
Yeah, I might put some money.
Colin.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm going to say that's a win. Okay. Now after that, they've got the Houston Texans.
That's a loss.
Okay, I'm going to say that's probably a loss.
Yeah.
All right. Then they've got the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to call that a probable win. Then they've got the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to call that a probable win.
I'm picking Colts on that one.
Of course you're taking the Colts. Then they're playing Seahawks. Again, I'm not saying a gimme, but I'm going to say the Seahawks is a probable win. Then they play Miami. I'm going to call that a probable win.
Tua's supposed to be back by then.
Right, but he's going to have it's going to take him some time. Then they're playing Jacksonville. I'm going to call that a probable win. Then they're playing the Rams. I'm going to call that a probable win. Then they probably lose against Buffalo and then play the Miami Dolphins again. Listen,
the
they
Buffalo
can go
game,
10-7.
The Buffalo game, they might be resting that game. They might already have the division locked up. They have to hope they
That's
can make.
true.
I
So
mean,
that
unless
Buffalo game
unless
could be a
something-
winnable game.
Yeah, unless something really bad happens with Buffalo, I don't see how the Jets catch up. They'd have to hope they can be a wild card.
So I'm just saying, with the easiest schedule by far of any team in the NFL left for the remaining of the season, despite how bad the Jets are and how well past his prime Aaron Rodgers is, Aaron Rodgers, who's still now just an average NFL quarterback, still has moments that he can have flashes of magic for sure. This is still a team that can go 10-7. They could still go 10-7. I mean, I won't be surprised if they lose to the Patriots. Well, I'll probably be a little bit surprised, or if they lose to the Rams. I certainly won't be surprised if they lose to the Seahawks because they've looked bad some games and looked great some other games.
Yeah, they just beat Atlanta. So,
Yes, they did, which is a pretty good win.
Yeah.
But so I don't know, maybe they're an 8-9, 9-8, 10-7. But the point here is, Ryan, is that as bad as they are, they still have a path to getting into the playoffs. But I want to point out something here. I want to point something out here. Last year, after week 7, which is where we are right now, with Coach Robert Saleh and the much maligned Zach Wilson as their quarterback, you know what the New York Jets were last year after week 7? 4-3. Without Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson as their quarterback, the New York Jets last year after 7 games were 4-3. They had a winning record. This year, with Aaron Rodgers, they are 2-5. I'm not going to ascribe any meaning to that. You take whatever meaning out of that you want. I'm just saying, under Zach Wilson, 4-3. Under Aaron Rodgers, 2-5. Anyway, Ryan, I'm saying that they are just simply out of excuses at this point. They changed offensive coordinator. They fired the head coach. They brought in Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. They just had no excuses left. How do you see this team right now?
Yeah, they've done all they can to improve their team. I don't know, firing their coach obviously wasn't improving their team. They do have some injuries on defense this last game. Their cornerbacks, linebacker went out. But they basically scored no points and gave up 30 points to the Steelers in the second half.
37 points.
Yeah, so
the most points the Steelers have scored in a long time.
So, I don't. To be honest with you, I hope they lose the next game so they just go out of my view, because I don't see them winning anything. They barely can get anything. I just don't want to deal. I don't like the way that they play. It's just not.
What a way to break the New York Jets fans.
Sorry, guys. I just
With that very monotone.
I'm just
they're not going to win
feelings
anything
whatsoever.
They're such a nuisance to me. I wish they would just go away.
Yeah, like Rodgers played this way when he left Green Bay. He acts like he doesn't give a crap. He's just there, like you're saying, no accountability, and he's going to be the one that makes or breaks their season. So it's like he's not trying.
Breaks.
He's going to break.
Yeah.
I say breaks.
I do think Adams and him will probably play better as they go. It's their first game back. But it's not looking good. They have nothing left they can do. So it's just stick with this. You're right. Their schedule is pretty easy, but they've lost to some crappy teams already. I don't see them winning all of those games. So, and the Bills are playing pretty well.
Yeah, the Bills are going to run away with the division, that's for sure.
They have to hope like the rest of the AFC stinks and 9-8 can be a wild card team, which it could. That's not impossible. But I just don't see them. I don't see how they can turn it around and go on a huge winning streak with the way that they've been playing against all these teams.
The thing is, if their defense can't be the defense they were when Robert Saleh was the head coach, they're in real trouble, man. They are in massive, massive trouble. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, under Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers didn't get to the playoffs. Under Jordan Love's first year, they went to the playoffs. Without Aaron Rodgers, they're 4-3 in the first 7 games of the season. With Aaron Rodgers, they're 2-5. Like a lot of other things that I'm way oversimplifying it. I acknowledge and I admit, but still, this team is a bloody mess. What excuses could they have left? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we got a few minutes here left, and we had a bunch of you guys send in some questions via our super chat feature. So let's get to those questions. Jonathan, what do we got?
All right, let me just get down to where we start here. So we got Robert. Starts off, Rodgers honestly looked defeated near the second half of the third quarter and the fourth, and at the end of it, he looked like he gave up. I bet he retires after the year.
I 100% guarantee he retires after this year.
Yeah.
It is clear. You look at that guy's face. I mean, first of all, he always looks like he just ate a sour apple. But I mean, more than normally, he is not enjoying this. And look, criticism of the way he's currently playing should not be misunderstood as criticism to his career.
No.
This guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer. No questions asked. He's one of the greatest to ever play the position. The guy's incredible, or has been incredible. But this guy is not accustomed to sucking. And right now, he sucks. And his team sucks. And he is having zero fun. And you can just see it on his face, and I agree with you.
And the
I think
media
he
is a lot
retires.
different in New York than it is in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, where everybody loves you in Green Bay, and everybody in Green Bay is going to coddle you up and make you feel like the special boy. But in New York, it's a little bit different. He is not having a good time. All right, what's next?
We got Murray, who says Devontae Adams went from losing to the Steelers a week ago with the Raiders to losing with the Steelers again with the Jets.
Well, yeah, but he didn't play that game, right? He sat out the final 3 games of the Raiders, right?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, I don't think he played. But, and again, listen, you look over in Buffalo, Mari Cooper gets a touchdown with Josh Allen his first game. Devontae Adams goes 3 receptions for 30 yards. Give him time. It's been a couple of years since Aaron. I still think this is going to end up being a good trade for the Jets. I think they will have some connection, and they're going to have some success. I just all these people who think they're going to teleport back 4 years and they're going to have the same magic that they had 4 years ago in Green Bay. It's like, I'm sorry. There's a difference between, in the NFL, especially for wide receivers and running backs, there's a big difference between being 28 years old and being 32 years old. There's a big difference. And Aaron Rodgers is not the same Aaron Rodgers that he was. Again, I think this is going to make them better. I just don't think it's going to make them substantially better. All right, what's next?
All right. Billy says today Tua said he won't be wearing a Guardian cap, and it's a personal choice. Is nobody going to step in and tell him how idiotic this is?
It's a personally stupid choice.
It's
like I saw that earlier too. I saw that he's been practicing and he said he doesn't want to wear it. It does look dumb, but I'd rather look dumb than be dumb for my brain being injured.
I'll say this: I have never worn the Guardian cap. I mean, that wasn't in existence when I was still playing high school football. So I don't know, like, does it feel different on your head? Does it feel like it throws you? I mean, I don't know. But aside from that, let's take that out of the equation. Why wouldn't you wear it? I mean, I would say that to every NFL player. Why wouldn't you wear this thing that gives you an extra layer of protection for your brain? But fine. But to a guy who a lot of people are even questioning whether he should come back and play football at all anymore because of all of his concussions, what reason would you have to not wear that Guardian helmet. I get it. It looks dumb. Like Ryan, you were saying, it looks dumb. It does. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It looks dumb, but who cares? If I'm not even the Miami Dolphins, if I am the Miami Dolphins insurance company, the people that got to put out money to the teams if they have players that miss games, I am telling the Miami Dolphins, oh, you want to play the Tua kid? That's great. We're not going to cover you anymore unless you force that kid to wear the Guardian helmet. I mean, look, I still not even sure he should come back, but that's his choice. He wants to come. That's great. If I'm the head coach of Miami, I am sitting down with this kid and I'm saying, look, you're wearing the helmet or you're sitting on the bench. I mean, my first priority has to be to protect my players. You either wear this helmet or you sit on the. We won't cut you because that's against the trade agreement or against the collective bargaining agreement. I can't do that, but I can sit your ass, and I will sit your ass. I mean, just for his own protection, I really think he should be wearing it. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Raymond who says, what happened to the 49ers? Have opposing defenses figured out Shanahan's playbook? Read that Kyle chewed out Brock in the locker room.
I don't think Purdy didn't play great this last game, but I mean, they're still missing. Well, Ayuk just hurt his knee. He's out for the season.
Ayuk is out. Debo's out. Real league MVP Christian McCaffrey still hasn't played. Listen, I don't care what team you are, when you are short 3 of your 4 best players, you are going to have a hard time winning games against elite competition like the defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to withhold all judgment right now on where I will say their defense is looking a little soft.
Yeah.
San Francisco, and I'm not accustomed to seeing their defense look a little bit soft. They're not bad, but they're looking a little soft. But I'm going to withhold any judgment on where the San Francisco 49ers are until at least who knows when McCaffrey's coming back. Again, he's not just a game changer. He's a league changer. I think he is the best football player in the NFL. And you're not going to have him. But until you at least have Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo.
Ayuk might be done for the year.
He might, with his Achilles, he might be out for the entire year. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just saying, until you have at least those 3 guys back on 100%, I'm not going to try to evaluate who they really are. I do know this. They don't have tremendous depth in offense, especially. But, yeah, you lose 3 of your 4 best players, it's going to be tough to win games. All right, what's next?
Hey, Riley says, Ron Rodgers needs to retire. Also hoping Texans make it to the Super Bowl, but our O-line and play calling needed some work. Packers game was rough.
They also need to upgrade their talent in several key areas. Listen, I think the Texans are going to continue to be an exciting, entertaining, fun football team to watch play, but the Super Bowl's not in their near future.
Especially with Mixon back, they can actually run the ball now, and CJ Stroud's a stud. So they're looking up. Then that division is not great either. So AFC South is not good. So they can make the playoffs.
All right, what's next?
Mr. I, diehard Browns fan since the mid-'80s. I'm embarrassed because of us fans. I'm no fan of Watson, but to cheer because he blew his Achilles is moronic.
Yeah, and again, I'm just going to repeat what I said a little bit earlier. I understand the Cleveland Brown fan frustration, maybe even disgust with Deshaun Watson, and they have every right to express it. I just don't think the time to express that is while a broken body is being carted off the field. That's not the time to express your unhappiness with his contract, his play, and his off-field antics. Complain about that later. Talk about that later. Cheer big when Jameis Winston takes the field in the next game, right? But that's not the time to do it. And, but listen, has there been a longer suffering fan base in the NFL than the Cleveland Browns? I mean, other than that spark of success that Baker gave them, I mean, I get it. They're frustrated.
The Jets are pretty bad.
But listen, Cleveland even had their team taken away from them.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, I mean, so I get their frustration.
Oh, yeah, someone said the Lions before this. They were bad for a
Yeah,
long
but
time,
they're
too.
pretty good now.
Yeah.
The Lions are pretty good right now. All right, what's next?
Jared Overfeld says 2 words. Yeah, let me see. Wait, did I get this right? Yeah. 2 words for the Jets' biggest problem. Aaron Rodgers. Also, hooray for my Georgia Bulldogs beating #1 Texas in Texas.
You know what? Someone's going to have to explain something to me. How does Georgia look the way they've looked the last few weeks, including a win over number 1 Texas, and lose to an Alabama team that is looking worse and worse? Like, Bama just got beat again. And
Sometimes you need a wake-up call, I think.
you think that's what the game against Alabama was? It was a wake-up call
I'm
for
just
them?
saying, there's sometimes you just progress during the season. Sometimes maybe new players, new outlook on things. So I don't know. Let's hope they get far, and let's hope that Alabama was the only loss.
I'll tell you what, they are looking real strong.
The dogs, baby.
They look real strong. I mean,
Gotta love the dogs.
I mean, Texas is still Texas. Tennessee, Georgia. I mean, it's the field is starting to thin. Don't even get me started on the USC Trojans. What started to look like a season where they were guaranteed to finish in the top 10, they're not even ranked anymore. They stink.
The only reason why I really like Georgia is because the Bengals seem to be, that's their, like, they always pick a player from Georgia.
Players?
So I just started following them and became a fan.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we got let me see. Whoop. Scroll up here. Jared Oberfield, Deshaun Watson is not getting a happy ending.
No, that's yeah,
Bing.
yeah.
Not this time. All right, what's next?
Man, too soon.
Mr. I, it's never too soon. Mr. I says Browns players say how the fans reacted. Saw how the fans reacted. Don't be surprised if players demand to be traded or not re-up their contracts after the season.
Well, I got news for you. That was probably the case before the fans cheered Deshaun Watson going off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, like, again, was it a classy move by Browns fans? No. But at the same, I'm just saying I get it. I mean, it was still the wrong time to do it, the wrong way to do it, absolutely. But this is a guy who has completely handcuffed your team's future. Now, don't get me wrong. If you get offered $230 million guaranteed contract, you're going to take it, sure. But for you to take all the team's money and all of their future by being traded for 3 first-round draft picks, you better perform. And he has not performed.
And also, there's just like, it's for certain teams in every league or every type of sport, there's always a fan base like of a team that like is known to be a certain way, or
Diehards. Yeah.
I mean,
Philadelphia Eagle fans.
Yeah.
you see how if you play bad on the Lakers, you better know what you're signing up for. I mean,
Right.
maybe that contract may not make sense depending on, you know, what you're going to get in return from the fans if you don't play well. I mean, you should people make their decisions based on cities and the fan base they have to deal with sometimes.
Yeah. Now,
Or
but
they take into
again,
account.
as far as the Browns go, it is the, other than what was the Washington Redskins a little while ago, it's the worst team culture in the NFL. They have not been able to have any real success at all for decades.
No.
Nobody wants to play there. People play there because they need to play there. They're going to have like a generational overturn there for things to start going good. And I hope they get it soon. All right, what's next?
Hosea says UFC 308 this week. Who do you have winning? And Didi, you catch, or I think he just says, and did you catch Francis Ganau's win? Nagano win in the PFL. There's no one else. For
It's a beautiful story. Francis Ngannou, who had just recently lost his son, came back into MMA. Of course, he left the UFC while the heavyweight champion, and they couldn't work out a contract. He left, made a lot of money in a couple of professional boxing fights.
Did you see that fight, John? The PFL.
The PFL fight?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was tough.
I mean,
That
that
ref-
ref should have stopped the fight.
Well,
What
Wait,
was that ref doing? He had full reign.
I mean, I
on the
get
guy.
it. I get that a ref might think to himself, I'm going to let this go a little longer than I normally would because the heavyweight title is on the line. But that went too long.
Not in that
Ngannou
position.
I thought
He
he was
had him
going to
down.
cave his head
Yeah,
in.
yeah. He had him
Oh
down.
God, man! There's that. Oh man, what's
But I mean, look, but at the same time, it's the PFL.
right?
Yeah.
Oof.
He needs to come back to the UFC. I'm not saying he should betray his own values. I'm not saying he should accept less for what he's worth, but that's great that he came. It's a beautiful story after losing his son, coming back out, reclaiming a title. but everybody knows it's not the title. You got to come to the UFC and take back the title, your throne. And whether that's against John Bones Jones, who's fighting a 42-year-old man that hasn't won a fight in 5 years, Aspinall, whoever, that's where he's got to come back. But it was a really nice story. It's a nice story to see him come back to MMA and win
and
that.
make the money that he should have gotten.
Yeah,
for
and
a while.
make the money. All right, what's next?
Wicked Man says, my Dallas Stars looking mighty good. Stanley Cup in sight.
My God, they look good. There are a couple of teams that are really already early in the season kind of shot to the forefront. And look, we did our preseason picks. I said Dallas was going to be up there.
Yeah.
They are. The Leafs are looking pretty good too. I'm very, very biased for the Toronto Maple Leafs, obviously, but it's already been a heck of a. I mean, the Calgary Flames are looking really good. I mean, yeah, but Dallas is looking sharp. All right, what's next?
All right, our final super chat here. It's a 3-parter from Robert. Aaron Rodgers' ego so big it would fill up the Grand Canyon, saying he wanted to talk to GB front office directly, but dodged, didn't return calls, wouldn't work with the younger GBWRs. Says he'll retire at Packer and signs a 3-year extension. Forces a trade a year later. Hates the media for no reason besides Pat McAfee. McAfee. Forces the Jets to sign his GB, but he's overvalued. My bad. He also throws teammate under the bus in GB and New York. Has choked in the playoffs since he won the Super Bowl. Dude's a terrible leader, and it shows.
Sign me up. Bring him
Yeah.
to my team.
I mean, look, that's an unfortunate thing because, like I said a little bit earlier, like Aaron Rodgers is a generational talent. Well, I mean, at least he was, what his career and the magic he has weaved here, and it's unfortunate because he's never going to be looked at with the same respect or adoration or whatever as a lot of the other greats because he just seems to suck.
Yeah.
You know that Saturday Night Live sketch where who's the guy, the Adam Driver? Where Adam Driver's on, he's like pretending that it's like the secret boss when he's actually
Yeah. Matt sucks. Yeah.
Matt sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Aaron sucks. I mean, I who would want to be his teammate?
But he was great in the next acapella sensation. on the Office, remember when he was a judge for that fake show?
Aaron Rodgers was?
Yeah, that fake talent show. None of you guys remember?
I don't remember that at all.
He made a cameo, and then like Andy tried to do the show, and he was all dressed up like an old man to get sympathy.
Okay, now I got to go back and see it because I don't remember that at all.
Part, but I'm so happy that like when I was watching, I was like, "That's Aaron Rodgers, right there."
But I mean, yeah, throwing teammates under the bus, everything's the media's fault. I mean, either you say I'm the greatest thing ever, or I don't have any time for you.
Well, can we all admit one thing?
What's that?
He has one of the best spirals in the game.
Oh no,
he
could,
did.
Yeah, he could.
Well, he did, but
Yeah.
beauty.
Yeah, I mean, he could.
Woo.
Like, if you haven't watched football for a long time and you think Patrick Mahomes, in his day, Aaron Rodgers could move in the pocket he could extend plays better than anybody else I've ever seen. And then after moving in the pocket, changing protections, finding a way out of trouble, he would somehow find a receiver somewhere 40 yards down the field. I mean, the one other knock against Aaron Rodgers is that whereas somebody like a Tom Brady took his team, different teams, to 10 Super Bowls, winning 7 of them, despite all of his greatness, Aaron Rodgers only ever got to the Super Bowl 1 time. Despite the fact that he was on some really good Green Bay Packer teams. He was on some questionable, there were some years it was pretty questionable, 100%. But that's the other thing. It just like greatest when it didn't count as much and couldn't really deliver when it counted the most.
Man, his throw was
But he's one of the best. He is one of the best of all time. He just is. Like whatever he is now, he was one of the best of all time. All right, was that it?
That's it.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of Filthy Sports. Thank you so much for being here and joining our show. Big thank you to all you guys who sent in questions because you gave us fun things to talk about, but you also supported our channel. Thank you for supporting us. We really appreciate that, guys. Hey, listen, can you guys do us a favor and for totally free, help our show grow? Click the thumbs up button, comment on one of our videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. All these things helps YouTube give our videos and send our videos out to more people. So hopefully we can make this new little channel of ours grow. It's greatly appreciated, mostly just for you guys being here. So thanks for joining us. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora.
Hit the showers, boys. Is that not a good?
That's a good
I was,
one.
I was just trying to think.
That's
of one.
good.
Okay, thank you.
Jonathan Voico,
4 more wins.
4 more wins, and Ryan Myers.
Thanks, everybody.
My name's John Campia. Do go to the showers alone. And until next time, everybody, bye-bye.
Drop the soap.